Internal cameras be bigger.
If you want to get
Sarah Ford.
Here,
We're gonna be around over.
Ready?
Yeah, I don't know why that's.
Yeah. What the hell?
Oh, sure.
Okay, now, yeah, so, scroll down, scroll down.
Let's see.
Scroll down. Yeah, you can also. Sure, you would have packed it. Oh,
Got a full house. Okay. It is 6:30. I'd like to call the meeting of the City Council of Morrison, Illinois to order. Clerk, would you call the roll?
Bruckner,
Here.
Cruz,
Here.
Mahaffey,
Here.
Schlegel,
Here.
Travell,
Here.
Tickler,
Here.
West,
Here.
Zeidemer.
Here.
Already swearing my.
All right.
We have a pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Does anyone present intend to record this meeting? No one. I did not see anybody signed up for public comment. We do have two folks who have asked to speak to the council. First is Tom Pons of the Middick Estate. Are you here? Thank you, sir.
First of all, thank you for letting me speak here tonight to you for a few moments. My name is Thomas Pons. I'm the executor of the Stan and Ruth Middick estate. I'm also their nephew. When Stan died, there were some provisions to make charitable donations to not only local charities and nonprofits, but to national, and they did that. As I stand here tonight, I see some familiar faces that would know my aunt and uncle. A brief history of them. Stan was one of the very first engineers hired at General Electric, and he was literally the last man to walk out of it when they closed the door. My Aunt Ruth was an educator in Morrison, Linden, and Sterling school districts, and that's what her career was. When my Aunt Ruth died, the trust also provided contributions to be made, and this one is specifically for education, very heavily on education. I've been honored and proud and pleased for the last week to present these checks to various organizations, and that's why I'm here tonight. So, with all that said, on behalf of Stan and Ruth, and I'm going to read this exactly as their trust reads, because I screwed it up. Therefore, to the city of Morrison, Whiteside County, Illinois, for the exclusive, unrestricted use of the Board of Directors of the Odell Public Library. I think I have to give it to you, Mr. Mayor, but it is a check in the amount of $394,068.08.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Someone take that and print his name underneath.
I think,
I take it back to him tonight.
yeah. Just to go to the foundation. Or the library foundation. Okay. That one's to you. Fantastic.
I've been taking the thanks, but I'm just the messenger, and I'm pleased to do it. Mr. Mayor, if I could borrow a minute of your time, if
Okay,
you need it,
I received it, yeah.
and sign it, and then print your name underneath.
Mhm. I would also say that many of us participated in the 25th, right? Art sale.
Oh, yeah,
And in fact, I purchased some things which are now hanging in my office in City Hall.
and I don't know how many of you knew Stan, but the two biggest worry of all things, the two biggest worries were, what are you gonna do with my art, and what are you gonna do with my books? And I think we did real well on both of them.
Yeah, the art was well received, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Right. And then on behalf of the Morrison Area Development Corporation, Liz is here.
How I follow that. I'll try. That's great. My name is Liz Buckhalter, and I am the Executive Director of Morrison Area Development Corporation. Thank you for your continued support of MADC. That's the term we call Morrison Area Development Corporation. So now you're up on the lingo. Our board has been hard at work the past few months with a lot of programs. You can see some new businesses announcing, and we are pleased to have helped them, whether that be with their building, their financing, just a few of those. We did a facade loan for the old Morrison machine shop that's across from Shell. That's painted and looks very nice. It used to be yellow and now it's a gray color. We also did an opportunity grant for Refuse to Quit. You won't see that unless you're a member of Refuse to Quit. They are doing some inside work, showers and some bathroom build out. Not completed yet, so but that is approved. So unless you're a member, you won't see that. They do hope to do some facade work on the outside of that building. For those of you who don't know where that's at, it's now the old China House. We also did some gap financing for Refuse to Quit. That was kind of a unique situation. Took us a while to get that figured out, but we did. And so we are pleased that not only we kept a gym in town, but expanded the gym. We had a meeting with local realtors, and oftentimes the people moving in, they say, well, you don't have a park district. You don't have anything for older folks to do different activities. And our board, in meeting with Evan Ernst, he is a local Morrison guy, we expressed that to him that some of our older adults need programming too. So I hope he does some things with that. And then we also approved a grant for God's Will that is at a downtown building as well to do some facade work in conjunction with the city as well. So we're waiting on that. Like I said, we've met with local realtors to discuss what they hear. We don't always get to hear what people are driving through. And so we would like to continue that as progress is being made throughout the town. I know City Administrator Melton was a part of that meeting, and we thank him for being there as well. We also updated our fact sheet, so I do have a copy if anyone needs or wants that. I also have an electronic copy if anyone would like that. We updated our, as everyone is, their interest rate, so we felt like we had to as well. We're still 3% under prime for gap financing, so if you need that, I'll be around and I can give you a copy.
I know there's been interest among the council having the MADC present, so are there any questions?
I have a
Council members,
question.
yeah.
Is there anything currently that MADC is doing to actively recruit new business opportunities to come within the city, to start in the city? I mean, what are we doing, or what are you all doing to actively recruit new businesses and bring more things into the city for job opportunities and growth?
Yeah, so we currently have a board of about 16 folks and then myself. So we have an executive committee as well that people from all walks of life, all industries. So sometimes we don't always, people don't come to the Morrison Economic Development to get their questions answered. Sometimes they come to the chamber. And so we, a lot of times we reach out, I get numbers, I just got a number from a realtor today that was looking at a vacant building, tried to call him and left him a message. So, so it's between our board and then myself with the realtors. So we don't have a ton of I mean, we don't have ads or anything for new businesses.
But you as the director, are you actively going out and seeking new business opportunities to bring into Morrison? Or are you just kind of waiting for them to reach out to you, is my question.
We do basically waiting for them to reach out, whether that's from the city, the chamber, realtor. This is not a full-time position. I should mention that as well.
Liz,
Yeah.
maybe, you know, phrase in a different way, I showed up to some meetings for a little bit as city council representative, and I remember, this was a while ago, maybe a year and a half ago, but maybe in terms of an area of focus, like, I know that there was talk about the industrial park is full now, right? And so like there was a discussion on a transition away from the industrial park because there's no place to bring anything, right? And then you were thinking, you know, and there was discussion on, okay, do we focus on downtown, or do we focus on the outskirts of our town? Is there kind of maybe an overarching, rather than specifics of, is there an overarching focus that MEDC is looking at right now in terms of, you know, what lens there, where's the opportunities? Is it downtown, or is it some other part of Morrison?
Right now, we've taken an all of the above approach. When we heard the city was actually doing strategic planning, most of our board was very excited. We, to be honest, need some direction ourselves as well, to what not only our board would like to do, but what the residents want and need. So we're kind of, you know, throwing a net out and see what catches, but still providing programming as well.
Any more questions from the council? Thank you, Liz. Thanks a lot.
It's here. The end, if anybody
Mhm.
wants, go to the fact sheet.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
No applause for you.
That was kind of mean. So.
Oh,
Gave me-
well,
gave her
we'll
a prayer.
applaud. Thank you.
Oh, my God.
I also have cards here.
All right, yeah, either on that edge or that edge, yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot. Officers, department heads, chief.
I believe I mentioned this before, that we were doing education for the elementary school north and south side. We didn't complete that. We ended up getting all the grades and providing educational material to each one of those young students. And our new hire, June Mistel, is doing very well since 12 weeks academy. Getting very much closer to graduating here next month, the end of the month. And just one last update was our flock cameras. I received an email mid-day indicating that there was a back order on poles that these cameras come up. And they're just starting to finally get them in, so hopefully we'll see some action with that in the next few weeks. By the end of the week. So, other than that, that's all I have.
All right, Nathan.
Yeah, the disc golf signs are up. So it looks pretty nice now, except now on the back of the sign looks kind of bad. So I ordered some signs to put on the back so they have both sides. And those should hopefully be in next week. We're going to do a ribbon cutting ceremony for that over next month. And youth volleyball ends tomorrow night. And youth spring soccer starts in 2 weeks. We're up to a little over 70 kids so far. 2 weeks ago. And we do have, bingo set again for April 11th. I don't know if I took it last time, we had 29 that showed up, so I went from 21 to 29, and then we'll see, what April brings, and how many people, but Ron Martinez is, a big host of Black people like him, so, I think they come for him, but the kids do a good job too, of calling their bingo too, so the high schoolers come and call it, so. So we'll see, if we can hit over 30 next month.
Treasurer? Okay, there's a report in the consent agenda. Speaking of which, we have 5 items on the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to remove anything from the consent agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
We'll move.
Second.
I will speak briefly to the 3 appointments and the proclamation. The proclamation, we do April Junior Achievement Day is a usual thing, and they're very happy when we send the scanned letter and that we approve the junior achievement. The 3 folks I'd like to appoint to the cemetery trustees, Charla and Andy have been invaluable in cleaning up markers, and particularly markers of veterans. And Hillary is someone who graduated from Morrison High School and returned to Morrison to raise her children, and is very interested in the care of the cemetery as well. So those 3 folks are willing to serve, and I'm happy to appoint them. You have the treasurer's report, minutes, and bills payable as well. Is there any discussion on any of those 5 items?
Yeah, you don't have to live in the city limits to be on this board.
That's correct. 61270 for most boards and commissions. And I will, but you know what? I'll take that away and verify. Any further questions?
Spencer, you're moving your comments.
All right. There is money available or in this motion, so we do need a roll call vote, clerk.
Bruckner,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Mahaffey,
Yes.
Schlegel,
Yes.
Travell,
Yes.
Tickler,
Yes.
West.
Yes.
Zeidema,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Action items. Number 2, again, this goes back to the widening of the intersection of Linden Road and Route 30 to take care of the 78 water main project. The city paid for that, and we are going to be reimbursed. So we went over on our loan, but we need to approve getting the reimbursement. So on your pages, starting on your pages 14, I believe. And do you want to elaborate on that, city administrator, or I know we've discussed it before, but.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, this was part of our change order number 1 on the Route 78 water main project. We just did some IDOT's detour work ahead of schedule, and now we're getting reimbursed for it, the 43,000 and change. So.
Okay, is there a motion to approve that agreement, and then we can have further discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, are there further questions or discussions on this agreement? Again, this was a change order. We went over budget, and now we're being reimbursed for our amount going over for that road work we did out on Linden Road. Okay, this involves money, so we should have a roll call.
Bruckner,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Mahaffey,
Yes.
Schlegel,
Yes.
Travell.
Yeah.
Tickler,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Zeidema,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right, fiscal year 2025 health insurance plan. We have a current and a proposal. You were thinking of getting a second one in time for the meeting?
I did. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We also invited Dan Bartel with Good Circle here in case there are any questions or clarifications. So what I did this year, our previous insurance agent was Tricor out of Dubuque. And so I also got, I received quotes from him as usual. And then I met Dan, who is a co-owner of Good Circle last year, been working with him and his partner throughout the past many months, getting a quote from them as well. So it came down to Tricor offering status quo health insurance policies with a 12.8% increase. And Good Circle came in with a very similar policy as to the Blue Cross Blue Shield, but through Cigna or Angle Insurance. And along with our vision, dental and life. And it's very comparable, maybe a couple things better in the Good Circle policy with, I don't want to say only, but with only essentially a 10% increase. So I'm seeking for you to approve, to accept Good Circle as our new insurance agent and to convert all of our policies to them and approve as presented the health insurance, vision, dental, and the life, the supplemental. The vision, dental, and life are all voluntary, paid by the employee, except for the life insurance. The city pays for a small life insurance policy for each employee only. But the dental and the vision, as well as the health. And I'll let Dan kind of introduce himself and kind of tell you a little bit about what they're offering.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Dan Bartel from Sterling. This is a kind of a new company. Angle, they've been around for 7 years. They're new to Illinois over the last 6 months. What they do is they're kind of a high-tech company, and they use AI to actually help lower the cost of plans for businesses, which is kind of neat. This particular plan, it's a level funded plan, which means it's based on the health of the group. You guys are a healthy group, City of Morrison's a healthy group, so we're actually able to get some a little bit of a break on the costs. There are several of the benefits that are a little bit better than the current plan. One was the co-insurance. This is only a 20% co-insurance, where the previous plan was 30%, what they pay out of their pocket after deductible. Also, the max out of pocket is $2,100 less on this new plan. Going for blood work, which can be very expensive, is actually a $25 co-payment on this new plan, which that'll save people a lot of money that go for blood work. So the plan is a little bit better. The 2.8% additional savings that we're offering is around a $7,000 savings for the year for the city.
Someone dying, yeah.
I don't know why it's not.
But along with the plan, we think it's a good plan. It's a little bit of a savings for the city. But along with that, Charlie and I are from Sterling, and we believe in in-person local service. So the first thing we're going to do if you guys go with this plan is we're going to present it to the employees. We want everybody to know what they have for coverage, be able to ask questions. We want them to understand their benefits. Along with the health insurance, dental, vision, we can also do the AFLAC. The City of Morrison has been an AFLAC account for like 40 to 50 years. Very, very long time. So we can actually service that as well. So you'll have kind of a one-stop shop for all of your benefits. And then we'll present the health, the dental, vision. We'll go over that with everybody. We'll go over the AFLAC so everybody knows exactly what's available for them, the cost of the plans. And we think that the education piece is important. Also, if there's ever a new hire or something, we will come over and meet with them. So we'll go over the plan with them as well, take a little bit of work off Brian's plate. So the in-person service we think is a big deal, along with having a little bit better plan that we're proposing for you guys. So, any questions on the plan or the cost or the service?
Is this just a 1-year plan then?
It's a year-to-year plan, yeah. So the rates on this plan are based on the claims. So if there's a good claims year, the city could actually get some money back or get a discount on the next year's plan. If it's really high or something, we can always go back to the Blue Cross Blue Shield. We can shop other carriers We have access to all the carriers, so we would make sure every year you guys are getting the best plan at the best price.
So you have multiple carriers you can go to.
That is correct.
You're an independent.
Yeah, correct. The network on this plan is Cigna, and it's actually a larger network than the current Blue Cross and Shield. It's a nationwide network, more coverage anywhere you go in the country. So it's more in line with like the nationwide, healthcare network, it's a little bit bigger than Blue Cross and Shield.
We should get this on the floor. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Are there further questions? Please.
Goofy question.
No questions?
One, annual premium, is that for all of our employees? That's not per person, right?
No, the bottom 23 something is, yes. Per month for everybody.
Oh, here.
Yes.
279, is that,
Let me make sure you're pointing at the, we're
I
talking
think
about
that's the
this.
year.
This is a proposed. This is,
She's in the Sigma angle column.
I'm in the one that was, you put on our.
The
you
handout
put
that's on your
The
table.
handout on our table tonight.
Yeah, the 279 is per year.
Per person.
No, in total.
Okay.
That's 279,000,
I understand that, that's why I'm asking, right?
Yeah, no, the
I was able to
23,
show my face, it was that per person.
Right, and
wow,
Man, what's the
Yes,
size limit?
yes. yes, the
20 I
month, yes.
know, I said silly question, but.
Yeah.
clearly
Yeah,
it's
the first, the 23, 327 and 72 cents is monthly
For all of our employees that we cover,
that are covered,
that
yes,
are covered.
that are currently covered.
Have the employees like at all had any input in this? Because insurance, it's a real question. Insurance is a big deal, and I mean, some of them may have had previous interactions with different companies and that may have been helpful or not helpful as a carrier. So I wonder if they know about any of this and if they've had any feedback.
They have not, because it's the city's authority and discretion to provide to what extent of a health insurance program we want to. And we kept that explicitly your authority in both labor agreements. So if you start negotiating and gathering input from the employees, you're opening a whole nother can of worms. And I think it's best to keep it the authority and discretion only by this body. With that said, of course, we're mindful of the impact on the employees.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so while changing to a different carrier or provider might be a challenge, just getting everybody enrolled, we'll work through that totally. The benefits are better. So, and it's not going to cost them as much as the other renewals. So,
I'm just
yeah, I don't know.
Sometimes, like, let's say, for example, Morrison Hospital, are they a preferred carrier on the Cigna? Or are they gonna be dinged if they go local? This is a real question,
Yeah,
Trying to
sure.
find
He can answer this.
your primary care doctors and specialists, when you have them all lined up with one insurance plan.
Right.
It's a
And
valid
then all of a
question.
sudden you have to change, that's not gonna make people really happy, and I
Well,
get that.
For an example, the MetLife Vision we had, many people, and I'm not endorsing them, but many employees go to Vision Source here in town for their
Mhm.
vision care. That was an out-of-network provider on our current care.
Mhm.
With the new one under their plan with the
VSP
VSP.
is the largest carrier and it covers.
Yeah,
and
and- And so that's an in-network
Mhm.
local provider, which is going to benefit everybody. That's just one small example. But all of our local hospitals are in-network.
Okay.
Anybody that was covered on Blue Cross and Shield will be covered on Cigna and additional.
Okay, so they're not gonna ding them with pre-existing
Right.
because the city's changing
That's right.
coverage.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many total employees, Brian?
Oh, 21.
Okay, that answers my question,
Thank you.
thank you.
Any further questions or discussion? If not, this does involve money. Clerk, would you call the roll?
Buckner,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Mahaffey,
Yes.
Schlegel,
Yes.
Trevelle,
Yes.
Tickler.
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Zeidman,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate
Thank
your
you
time.
very much
Thank you,
for
Dave.
coming. There is a request from the city that the council approve the dates of the meetings in April to be the 15th and 29th instead of the 8th and the 22nd. Is there a motion to approve that date change?
Second.
Are there any questions or discussions? All right, we can do this by voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you from City Hall. All right, item 5, we would like to bifurcate that proposal, and I will let the city administrator describe what we want to do here. Yeah,
This is a chicken.
I
egg.
haven't lived it, but
Yeah.
he
This
has.
is this is a chicken egg kind of process. So for the last year or so, we've been talking with, working with representatives of Tractor Supply Company to bring a store to, well, it started off as rural Morrison, across the street from Five Star Enterprises along Route 30, just on this side of the sports complex. We've gone through the whole process. Way back in November, they even submitted their building permit. Talked my representative through the process. We offered our legal services to them to make sure the process was complete and in order and in a timely fashion. And they said, no, we'll take care of it. So things went on. We always stuck with the same timetable. Purchase possession of the property around the end of the year with construction to start March, April. Well, hopefully we're still gonna hit that date. But 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago, their representatives came to me and to their local realtor contact and through the attorneys and said, we're ready to go. We want to close on the property on Friday. Well, then all the obstacles start popping up because it's impossible to do this in a week. But everybody, and I'll applaud everybody involved on both sides of the table. A lot of back and forth, a lot of work, a lot of creative legal interpretation and to get this thing done. There's just a lot of back and forth. And so what we have come to is to go through the annexation process. But they had to record their plat, their easements, and some kind of proof, which is a pre-annexation agreement, that it was going to be in the city to basically not have to meet some of the county requirements. And so before you tonight is the authority, is for your consideration to authorize the mayor and the clerk to ratify, sign the subdivision plat for Tractor Supply and to proceed with annexation by signing the pre-annexation agreement tonight. The wording is very explicit that it's pre-annexation, even though it's titled annexation. It's pre-annexation the way Tim Zollinger prepared it, and to sign that. And then the second part will be the resolution that I turned out or passed out tonight, which is 2402, is essentially to forward this to planning and zoning to go through the full process of annexation and zoning. So again, it's a little chicken and egg, but everybody is satisfied to date. Our attorney drew all this up and we should be good to go. It should be that simple. If you approve those two things tonight, we have a planning and zoning meeting on Wednesday. we will then set up another meeting with planning and zoning for later in mid-April. Because we have to post, we have to have 2 separate public notices with 10-day grace periods in between them. So after Wednesday, we will post for the next planning and zoning meeting, which would be at least 10 days after that. And then assuming they will approve it, because there's, which should happen, because I don't see any obstacles here. Then there'll be another public notice that it's being considered by the city of Morrison, this body, at the April 29th meeting, with construction to begin April 30th.
No
We're-
fooling.
No fooling, they're, the company itself is ready to go today. So they weren't happy about this delay, but it's their fault. But because we support Tractor Supply coming here, we want them to come here, we welcome them here. They're going to get our city services, and we are going to get their sales tax. Yay.
And property tax.
And property tax, yay.
County.
And so we've talked through all the obstacles other than this legal process up to this point, and we are good.
Are we providing sewer and water?
We're providing it, yes, the city services, one, yes.
So where are we connecting to that?
We're connecting to it on the street with no name between Jim Workman and Dale Eisengate's property. There's a little side street there between them that's off of Sycamore. And our services up there, it worked better for them. I don't get it, but it worked better for them to go there and set it down to where our lift station is 1 block down, so.
So in this case, workers, which are not going to be living there, could they connect?
To be determined.
Oh, because we're not offering, they're not part of it.
Not at this point.
Is that whole neighborhood not part of it?
That there's a
It's a
square.
funny donut hole.
Yeah, there's a island of county property there that was, when they annexed the sports complex, they came from a different direction, which created this donut hole, but it's all called contiguous territory. I know you guys are impressed because I'm learning this as I go. A contiguous territory that pretty much we hope to annex the rest of it.
Okay, I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
Yes.
For future discussion.
But
Yes,
one step- yeah,
exactly.
One step at a time.
But yeah, we're on the same page there.
Yeah.
So we have 2 things. We have a resolution and we have a pre-annexation agreement. I think they should be each voted on separately.
Yes.
There is no money involved, but anyway, would someone like to move to approve resolution 2402 on the contiguous property? And this was a handout, it was sitting at your chairs.
Just for curiosity.
Second.
I want to say something before you say there's no money involved.
Yeah.
What is this, putting in sewer and water? What's this gonna cost us? There's money involved.
It's not gonna cost us anything.
Huh?
It's not gonna cost us anything. They're doing it.
Okay.
We might have a little time and supervision with Shane being there to make sure they do it right, but this is not gonna cost the city anything. They're putting everything in on, even their pump and grinder is going to be on the system before it hits the public infrastructure.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear.
Thank you.
Good point.
We have a motion and a second.
Yeah, so it is up for discussion. Any other questions?
Sorry, who did the motion?
Greg seconded.
We motioned and I second.
So West.
No,
Vern.
Vern, and then Greg.
Thank you. Okay, so on the floor is the resolution of considering annexing. There's a handout was at your desk when you sat down. Is there any further questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
The second motion I would ask for is the annexation agreement, which is really a pre-annexation agreement until the property is sold. And that is starting on your pages 27 in the packet. And again, this was prepared by council and reviewed, I think, by both the purchaser and the seller. Is there a motion to approve that agreement?
Second.
On the table for further questions or discussions. There's a very small copy of the plat as well. Hearing no discussion, all in favor? Any opposed? Carries. Thank you both all very much. Brian has been living this and I've been witnessing it by email and it's not been pretty, so I appreciate the questions and the interest. On the move.
They're not here.
Okay. Any update on the strategic plan? We've submitted some questions. We've had some back and forth.
I did want to ask a question because I polled everyone, and the majority seem to like, when we get to it later this summer, the strategic plan workshops, there's a couple different options. And they wanted me to clarify with you, just so everybody knows. The majority seem to like the 2 nights, splitting in half and doing about 2 hours workshops. And they said that the way it's structured and something to consider is we could do 1 night for 3 hours and get it done. It's a little longer, but it's 1 night. Does that interest anybody, or do you kind of want to stay 2 hours?
I'd rather do one.
Yeah.
Anybody rather do 2 nights? It'll be a weeknight. Okay, I'll set it up as one
weeknight.
Would it start around 4? Is that what that?
I'll confirm with her, but if it starts that early, we'll give you as much advance notice, so if you have to make, or if you can be a little late, I know, Matt, you might have to get off work a little early, but if you can't, and you have to be here late, because I know some people have to work later, I get that. Or I'll ask them to see if they can start it just a little later, because 3 hours, we'd still get out of here in good time. We'll have dinner here the whole bit, so.
We don't have a day yet.
Not yet, for sure, so, but we'll do it probably a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday,
Not a Monday.
right, not a Monday. Unless you want,
I mean, I would vote for that because I'm in town.
a Monday would be better.
I mean, I'm here on Mondays, but don't do
I like
that.
that one Mondays.
What's that?
If he's out of town on Monday. I don't have a problem with that on Monday.
I will express that to him. Okay. All right. We're good.
Again, for more discussion and information, we've discussed this before, establishing a new class of liquor license, banquet halls and events. It's been drafted and it's starting on your page 36. At this point, we do not have any parties interested in such a license, but if that happens, it might be good to have that type of license in our armory, if you will, our wheelhouse. Are there any questions on that? It's been exposed to you before. I don't know if the wording changed from last time or not, but this is a similar. Okay. Please.
The only reason why I brought this back up before I put it on for action for your consideration was during the last meeting, just from the draft proposed language, we didn't have a couple of the blanks filled, such as, kind of the definition of the event center to host more than, there's got to be at least a minimum amount of people that would be in the facility. to host it or to be defined as a event center. So unless somebody else has a better number, I guess I would propose that you would have to, it would have to be able to host more than 100 people.
Yeah.
And then we talked about the Class H license with some restrictions, and the way the verbiage is, it says Saturday no later than 11 PM, and then shall not be open on Sundays for the purpose of sale of alcohol. And there's some comments to maybe change that to maybe allow them to serve at an event on Sunday after, like, let's say noon or something like that. I just heard a couple comments float around, so I just brought that back to your attention and to see if there was any consensus on the language, so we could act on this at the next meeting.
Why 100 again, Bernie?
Just arbitrary, just because,
Yeah.
because if you do it too small, then other
Yeah.
people could probably
Yeah,
script their
I
way
could have a
around.
party at my house for 7 people and charge for
Yeah.
drinks.
Yeah,
I guess I'm just,
And
but,
drinks do you have?
but,
For you, they're free.
but conversely though, like if somebody did come and say, I got a building with a capacity of around 75, I mean, I'm just thinking of a lot of events that are around here that are under 100.
Yeah.
But are pretty
So-
robust.
So that would eliminate like my building or like the American Legion
Yeah.
or like the credit union that has a party room, who's in
Yeah.
a credit union. So that eliminates all them
Yeah,
from getting that, or even,
I'm just saying in
I mean, I
terms
don't know
of
if
like
I-
being
yeah.
business friendly in case somebody wanted, because this is just putting this on the, we still would have to approve that individual's license, right?
Right.
I don't know, I was just thinking 75, but it's not.
I was thinking 75.
I was
Right.
thinking 75 too. just- I don't
I
know.
think
Because if you
our
had that
goal
many
was to
people
help
that wanted to
caterers
go
come in,
somewhere, it's-
right?
Right,
Yeah,
And sell
Right.
for
Then
like
you're gonna go out
a
of
wedding
town.
reception.
yeah.
Serve storm.
Okay,
I got a question.
75 works.
What is this gonna cost to get the license?
Oh, we'd have to put a fee structure on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I don't see them.
Yeah, we could put a fee structure on it. Of course, we would have to put fees, yeah. What would you like it to cost, Harvey?
Yeah, I have no idea.
No, I mean, we'd start with,
Some of the more limited ones are, I think the cheapest one's like 450 or 500. But this,
For a one-time deal?
well, no, an event center would have a year.
Oh,
an annual license, yeah, so
Okay.
Annual license.
the standard license is 1,000, isn't it?
Well, it depends, 750 or 1,000 is the standard, but there's one or two more limited licenses that I think are around 500 bucks.
Yeah, so some of these
Annual,
cities
yeah.
are upping their event fees. Dixon, just in the paper the other day, they're upping all their event fees, including their gambling.
But we can't, well, we're at the max right now, so on the gaming,
We want to have events before we up anything.
right? Okay, well, are Sundays an issue for, I mean, we want to be keeping some properties in mind, we want to be neighbor friendly, but does anybody have any issue with Sundays afternoon?
I think we should allow it.
Anybody against that? Before we put it, okay. We're good?
That'd be like, for the cost, mine, I'm thinking 500. If a normal one's 750 or 1,000.
Yeah, again, we're trying to attract somebody to do this, right?
Right.
It's like.
Right.
But it's one-time fee for 1 year.
1 year, yeah. And the intent is, this is, I think the wording is specific in that selling alcohol is not the primary purpose of this business.
Correct.
Their primary revenue source will be hosting events, receptions.
Receptions and-
Yeah,
Would they be allowed to get a one day? We have 1 day thingies.
With the licenses.
Yeah, you can get 1 days, but most 1 days are special use 1 day permits by license holders.
people already have.
that already
one, yeah.
have one in a different
I
class.
realize that.
Yeah, but they'd have to go through a lot more, because they'd have to get a state one as well, they'd have to get insurance, and
Okay,
so, yes, it can be done, but probably rare.
yeah.
Well, could you review as to the number of guests or whatever are necessary to have their license?
But it's just the discretion of this, of
I
you.
mean, what's the purpose of that? Is that so that enough people come in
Yeah.
there and use the alcohol, or else you don't let them do it at all?
No, it's more in the definition of what an event hall is and that it's a place that can hold or serve more than
Okay.
Yeah.
so many people, so,
20 people done, right on my-
Exactly.
And he's calling it a bank.
So like when you're going into a reception and you're paying $20 a plate with a drink, right now, you can't just do that because you're charging for the alcohol. So this gives them the ability legally to sell that because the alcohol falls under that form, right?
So we are gonna have some events that are 75 people are gonna at least attend, right?
Oh, sure we will.
Of course, we don't even have any now, so.
Well, that's because everyone goes to facilities outside of Morrison. So we
Right,
don't have a
right.
facility
But-
here.
but not to confuse you, but
Please.
if, let's say somebody buys a certain large property near our downtown that can hold perhaps 300 people, they can get this license, but they could still have an event that there's maybe only 50 people there. It doesn't require them to have at least 75 people there because sometimes you can't control that. It just says, if you are gonna be an event center, you have to at least hold.
That-
We expect the
Right,
establishment
right,
to have
right.
Well, I
capacity.
was thinking about it all wrong.
It's, like the example is, it prevents me from declaring my porch an event center.
Yeah.
And they charge you to come in and have a drink, because I can't hold 75 people on my porch.
You get 20 on there.
Try
But,
to-
Yeah.
We're
So-
not gonna go out and count people, are we?
No. But the discussion is, that protects the city and protects people from sneaking in.
Well, I'm in favor of it then.
Yeah, thank you.
We have to have a motion.
No, this was for discussion and information and get your input. And we'll have a proposed draft with a number and maybe with Sunday hours and a fee. All right, again, for exposure only, the budget, starting on your page 40, it is lengthy, but it's also comprehensive. And I would ask the city administrator to tee it up.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm gonna try and go through some highlights rather quickly. If you have more questions, please ask them, stop in and see me, whatever, because the plan here is to present this to you, kind of it's a final draft, if you will. And then at the next meeting on the 15th of April, you will approve the draft ordinance and budget plan for public posting. And then at the April 29th meeting, you will then consider to approve the ordinance and the budget plan. So I want to give you some time to further digest this, if there's any significant changes you want to make, but I'm going to try and go through it fairly quickly.
I got a question before we start on page 46. We call it the new public works building. So it's not the new public works building. We need to call it something different. Somebody looking at this down the road,
Okay.
why are we spending renovations on a
New,
new public works building?
Well,
Newly purchased.
It's not a. new
okay,
public
we will
works.
take out new. How's that?
Yes, that would be good.
That would stop.
Yeah, you would. Thank you.
You know, I looked at this. right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, at least the first page, Harvey. At least the first page.
No, this is the first
That's too
page.
many words. I didn't read it.
So, and thereafter, I kind of tried to, as much as possible, consolidate while being comprehensive as I could with the budget. The next several pages, if you will note, Under the summary, like I'm on page 47, under the summary of funds. And there are some specific funds throughout the next several pages that have a fund balance policy. So under the general fund there on page 747, as an example, the second paragraph establishes the general fund balance we strive to maintain it at no less than 25% of the fiscal year budget expenses. That's been kind of the ongoing practice anyway, and which would be about 450,000. I would be a little safer at 500,000, but
I think that's what we talked about
yeah.
2 years back.
So, but this plan, I have specifically put those those fund policies in there. The general fund has it. Of course, our 2016 general obligation fund on page 50 has it. And then our enterprise funds, the sewer fund, the water fund, and the refuse fund all have them as well. And they're pointed out there. Moving on, I've also added this year on page 53 and 54, our project planning for streets and water infrastructure that you've approved basically already. The streets, we could have more conversation on it, but at this time, it's planned to do no major street improvement project this calendar year, which is the first part of fiscal year 25, and maybe do a couple small projects. First and foremost, the Genesee Lincoln Way project, and maybe even a section of South Heaton from the railroad tracks to Wall Street, because we will be getting into that for for our water loop that we're doing down there anyway, for the ARPA funds. So little things like that, and some alleys and sidewalks perhaps. But again, trying to build our funds so we can do projects and maybe do them every other year. Unless you want to do something else. These aren't in no particular order. But keep in mind too, later when you look at the fund for the 1% sales tax for road improvements, when you look at the projected fund balance of $1 million, keep in mind that 300,000 of that is already spent, and will probably have to be paid the end of calendar year 25, which is the beginning of fiscal year 26 for Crocker Bridge, the bridge down by the high school. So, and we move on. I just, for your information, showed a little trend on our general fund balance, because we are doing very well in our general fund. And then we just get into the overall worksheets of the budget plan. Again, I'm going to move through this pretty quickly. Really a lot of status quo fiscal practices here.
May I ask one question on an
Yes.
actual? Right in the middle of 58. Miscellaneous revenue. That's actual in FY 23,
Yes.
and it just jumped out at me.
Yeah, it was half of the ARPA money, which was like 287 that was just initially placed in the wrong pot.
Okay. All right.
Burial fees, Mayor, or for what?
For
Miscellaneous revenue FY 23 actual.
It was 400,000.
400,000, it should be about 30 or 20,000 or whatever. So that's ARPA.
Half of the ARPA.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
but we did move it, so it's in the water. It's in the water fund.
Yeah, so that's an actual, and it's not a budget anyway, so I apologize for taking off.
The next note I have is on page 62 under police budget. We're going to chop that in half. Just kidding. Just seeing if you're all paying attention. No, the only point of reference there is for action at your next council meeting, there will be a list of general fund transfers that we're gonna transfer out of the general fund since it's fairly healthy right now. And part of that is going to be transferred into the police capital fund. And then because of our fund balance in the bond fund, the 2016 Geo Bond Fund, there's, I don't want to say too much, but there's extra balance there that we also, at the end of this fiscal year, are going to transfer into the police fund to address what capital improvements he needs over the next year, which includes the ongoing expenses for tasers, body worn cameras, and a new vehicle. So, and vehicles aren't getting any cheaper. Moving on, under the street department, page 65. Again, the big notable there is actually under this fiscal year 24 actual column at the bottom. There's some transfers out, because again, this is general fund money, which I'm proposing anyway, to transfer 100,000 to the street fund, 50,000 to the public works capital fund, and 100,000 to the capital building fund. And that will be in total between that and the police, 300,000 general fund transfer at the end of this year. And then our normal transfers for the coming year for health insurance. Moving steadily along, on page 68, under economic development, I was able to budget $60,000 for this year because I would like to move along your consideration in a TIF district or a business development district. And in our one presentation that we did have, to get that started, we'd be approximately $60,000. And keep in mind, if you do support this and do want to do like the TIF, the tax increment financing district, we can build that into the plan to reimburse the city our costs for developing that TIF. So keep that in mind with that expense.
So Brian, we don't really need to go down this road too much with the TIF. Would that be any new business then that comes in would have that break on the?
Well, depending the district, any property owner that wants to do improvements would be able to dip into that.
Oh, meaning that their property tax wouldn't increase for that period of time, even though they didn't improve the building because of the TIF.
It would basically, you would
Kind of lock it.
in the TIF, you would lock in an estimated evaluation of the property. And as that property, you hope, goes up at least a little each year, that extra goes into the TIF.
Gotcha.
And then you can use that TIF money for economic development specific to that building or any building in that district. We're the only municipality that I know of within arm's reach that does not do this. And you talk about wanting to recruit businesses and economic development. This is just another tool in the toolbox to bring business here. So enough with that rabbit hole.
Brian, it's showing just MADCs on my mind because they're here. That says 5,000 for the MADC contribution.
Yeah, that's probably not
I thought
right.
it was, I thought it was 15.
15.
We do
I thought we went from
7,500
30
twice,
to
yeah.
15 a couple
Well, it is. This is a third.
Oh,
This is a third of it. This is a third of that. The other two come out of water and sewer,
oh,
like they always have.
oh, really?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we split it between funds.
Okay.
Don't get nervous. So yes. Okay, moving quickly along, because you're probably already tired of hearing from me. I already spoke about Fund 4. which is the street fund, the local 1% sales tax. Tort fund is just our insurance. The tourism fund, I will point out that we're starting to build a little bit there with hotel and motel tax, and just something to maybe consider in the future is to maybe support through a small contribution and be part of the regional tourism organization known as Visit Northwest Illinois, formerly Blackhawk Hills Area Regional Council. There's so
And that was the conversation, whatever, 3 or 4 years ago. And that's why, just really quick, that's why we held off taxing us, because the understanding was Black Hills at that point was going to tax us. And so they were gonna get taxes from a number of cities, so they could actually put a marketing campaign together, rather than a small amount of money for one town.
but
They
that,
never ended up taxing us.
right, and that would
But
be
they
our,
kept saying, one day we're gonna hit you, and we're gonna hit you for all the backdated tax money. Never came, still hasn't came yet. But if it does, then, I don't know, maybe it won't if we.
yeah, we have the fund.
Yeah.
And that's the way we'll support that.
Yeah.
So, page 77, under the refuge fund, I just added the rate, because we get a lot of questions, or what are the rates, so I put it right in the budget plan. Those are our rates through fiscal year 29. Just a comment under the IMRF, Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund on 79, that fund is well funded. I would like to say overfunded, so maybe next year in our tax levy, we can adjust that for a year or two to help us in other areas and not tax so much under IMRFs. We'll see how that goes. But that's doing well. But we still want to stay ahead of the game on that fund. Moving way on to Public Works Capital Fund on page 84. The expenses for the coming year, we are looking at, should you approve it, I have budgeted money to be shared between this fund, the water fund, and the sewer fund to replace our skid loader, which is now pushing 20 years old, 17, 18 years old, and a mini excavator, which can be used in the cemetery for smaller water main breaks, where a mini excavator would be a lot easier than the big backhoe. We would do this through our source well bidding, basically state bidding process. And the prices I've already obtained on that, I'll update them when the time comes to consider it, but between the two pieces of equipment, they're about 140 together, about 70 each, which is actually cheaper than I thought it was gonna be. We'll get into that a little bit more later, but at another meeting, but at least I budgeted in here, so the 51,400 is a third of those two pieces of equipment. And a trailer, because if we get a skid loader and a mini excavator, they have tracks, and you don't want to drive those long distance on asphalt or concrete, because you'll just ruin the tracks, and that excavator would take you half a day to get across town. So those are two pieces of equipment. Probably the two most wanted and popular pieces of equipment by all of Public Works, because they can be used across the board for many things. And then, great news, we will this month have our sweeper paid for, and by the end of the year, we'll have our 2018 Peterbilt dump truck paid for. So, and then money has been set aside for that 2025 2-ton dump truck that we have ordered to pay for that. So, and we still will have a fund balance there to hopefully further build for other Public Works capital needs, equipment wise. Moving on to Sewer fund. 87, page 87, not a lot there to really bring up, except for both in the expenses and income. You see it's a pretty big number. Remember, $1.271 million is coming in extra for a grant, but is also going out to do the sewer lining project later this year, maybe into early 25. We'll see how that comes together.
You can see the 5,000 for economic development too, right?
Yes.
So I found that
Page
88, yeah, far left, the top third. And then the same area on the water fund, so there's 15,000 for MADC.
We're under. We're 51,000 in the negative on sewer.
Yeah, we're good. Because of some of the bigger projects, we'll use a little bit of the fund balance. And not that it is significant to it, but I've added a line item under both sewer and water for other professional services for various things they have expenses for under that category. And under the water fund, page 90, I also added another round of loan repayments for what will be our Route 78 project. We'll have to have the paperwork done, completed, and probably make a payment before the year's end. And those are the estimated payment amounts. They're paid separate, we pay interest separate, and then we pay the tax. Then moving on to capital fund. We hope to get a little, well, I'm pretty confident now that we will after tonight, get a little money that the library owes our capital fund for $131,000 for the boiler project. So hopefully they can afford it. So and then
Cemetery bill.
the cemetery bill, I can't really explain this. It's all legitimate and good, but I can't wrap my head around it really. But this reflects the numbers of the expected revenue, but more so the expense out to the perpetual care from the loan of $115,000 that the city borrowed from the Board of Trustees at the cemetery to do the road improvements there. And as you'll note there, there was 200,000 set aside in that fund back in fiscal year 2022 for the new building there. Or future, hopefully very near future consideration of work. And then on page 96, these transfers are part of just the regular transfers that are part of the fiscal year 25 plan, where we move general through the various department funds in the general fund. We move healthcare expenses to the healthcare fund and a variety of other funds to support various expenses, insurance, capital funds, and so forth. And then the last page, 97, will be a separate action for you at the next meeting for end of fiscal year 24 transfers. The 300,000 that I noted, plus a little bit of the unreserved fund of the bond fund, and then those two smaller transfers to close those two funds out so we could stop talking about it. And that's it. Sorry, I went through it quick, but I feel pretty good about it. I've gone over it a couple hundred times. I think we set in a really good shape. I think from hereafter, it's gonna be a strong priority to work in our parks and definitely go after street street improvements, so. Because I think otherwise we'll be pretty good for the larger capital equipment expenses for several years, and hopefully we can really get working on some of our streets. You have any ideas, anything you want to do different? Please let me know.
Any further questions? If not, then I would entertain a motion to go into executive session. All right. Order.
You have to record mine's in the truck, I'm sorry.
See ya, take care. Nothing else on the agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn? Okay, so between Tervelton's item, is there anybody opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned at 8:08.
All right, great job.
Thank you very much, everyone.
As long as you made it up.
May I have that proclamation, or just a copy?